After years of being highly popular, the MMORPG Infinity game is finally about to shut down. The game's creator, Akira Oono, however, suddenly finds himself sucked into the game's world as his avatar, the demon Lord Hakuto Kunai. The ridiculousness of his situation is made worse when he sees an injured girl being chased by the demon king Grail. He beats up the bad guy and finds out that the girl is named Aku, and he finds himself within the kingdom of Holy Light at a very odd time. The place is ruled by a fanatical holy church, while there's also an angel named the Cherub who controls everything. Though Kunai doesn't remember creating those things and realizes that someone else is manipulating the game from the inside, he realizes that someone in the game might have tried to summon a real demon lord, but accidentally managed to summon him instead. Now we learn about Aku. She was a young orphan who was cast out by villagers as a sacrifice to Grail. Kunai doesn't care much right away, of course, because he needs to get back into the real world. He heads towards the mages that summoned him, but when he gets there, he finds out that Grail already killed them. The shrine idol cannot send him back home, and he's stuck here for good. The shrine just hands him a magical ring that turns itself into dust. Now, Kunai takes Aku back to her village and sees the hatred that the villagers have for her as they curse her and abuse her. This angers Kunai, and his anger awakens the magic ring. He reveals himself as the true demon lord and sets fire to the village before making Aku his partner and heading out towards the capital city. This is where we're introduced to a woman named Luna Elegant. She's one of the 3 holy maidens who are seeking out the demon lord in order to defeat him. However, what she doesn't know is that she's being pursued by Awakens, and his bandits would ambush her. They take her by surprise and try to increase their reputation. Kunai is on his way to find another shrine idol in the meantime, hoping to finally find a way home. This leads to a funny thing. Luna's looking for Kunai, but Kunai and Aku are looking for a shrine, and eventually Awakens' trap is filled by Aku. What's funnier is that Kunai mistakes him for his real-life boss, which leads to a weird conversation that is later interrupted by Luna. A fight breaks out and Kunai realizes he's vulnerable to her magic, though not so much that he would get hurt. He just gets good and defeats her soldiers, then proceeds to spank Luna and steal all of her money. The man is weird, that much is for certain. Kunai and Aku get to the capital and spend Luna's money to rent a room and buy food and new clothes. Kunai notices Aku's heterochromia. They go dining together and Aku asks how she can repay Kunai for his kindness. However, an enraged Luna catches them and wants her money back, but she's forced to join them to dinner when threatened with another spanking session. She insists she shares a room with them since it was paid with her gold. Kunai asks Luna about Cherub, and Luna tells him how Cherub died after sealing Grail, but the remaining 2 angels, Seraph and Ophin, still exist. The Holy Maiden, Killer Queen, arrives in her chariot to drag her little sister Luna back home. However, Kunai comes up with a plan to make lots of money by selling worthless items as antiques to an antiquities dealer. Luna and the Queen start bickering amidst an army of Satanists who believe they've failed in summoning the Demon Lord as they plan to kill both Holy Maidens using a sludgy entity known as Hades. Luna claims she tamed the Demon Lord, though her Killer Queen doubts it and even doubts his existence. Bam! The cult begins an attack and Kunai realizes they have the same robes as the ones who summoned him. Cultists unleash Hades, who attacked Luna and Queen. Meanwhile, Kunai's ring attempts to kill the Holy Maidens. He refuses, but the ring paralyzes him, swapping him into another of his Infinity game avatars known as Zero Kirisame. The only problem is Zero is overpowered and he defeats the cultists in moments, while Queen falls in love with him immediately after he treats her like a woman instead of a warrior. Queen decides to make him her husband. Zero transforms back into Kunai when he's mortified at ever creating such an embarrassing character in the game. Luna decides she'll travel with Kunai and Aku. Meanwhile, elsewhere, 2 bounty hunters debate whether they should accept a bounty for the Demon Lord's head. They decide to hunt for sandwolves instead, which is more up their alley, I guess. While they're traveling in Luna's carriage, Kunai disguises Luna as a schoolgirl, so she won't draw any attention to herself. The 2 bounty hunters and a cross-dressing mage known as Yukikaze are in the vicinity, hunting sandwolves. The pack is too large though, and they are forced to flee, but they run into Kunai, who helps them in defeating the wolves for skill points and then leaves. Kunai notices that Aku's leg has been healed badly, so she's limping around. He uses his skill points to summon an NPC doctor, who is named Kirino, who heals her using her technique skill Hand of God. Kirino seems like a regular doctor, but she has a weird sadistic fetish for young boys. Kirino is now part of Kunai's entourage, but Kunai forbids her from killing anyone. Aku instantly falls in love with Kunai now due to his kindness, and Yu begins to develop a crush on Kunai as well. Later at night, Aku's sleep is specialized as she gains a rare magical survival skill known as heroin. Not to mention, the bounty hunters Mikan as well as Yukikaze are now amazed by Kunai, but Mikan is a bit mad that they lost their bounty. Utopia, the founder of the Satanist cult, learns that a certain demon lord killed Grail, who decides to appease Hades by offering all of the capital's citizens as a sacrifice. Kunai and the rest visit Luna's province at a place called Rabbi Village. The place is in shambles as Luna has been letting the Holy Church manage it instead of managing it herself. Kunai suspects they gave her territory literally no value to keep her out of their way. Meanwhile, also deciding that he will help improve the village by adding a hospital and a hot spring. He removes the shoddy church manager and learns that the place is populated by bunnies, a form of demi-humans who are considered inferior to humans by the Holy Church. The bunnies are struggling to survive due to poor soil, so Kunai uses his skill points to give them unlimited water and better fertilizer sources. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Luna's older sister, Holy Maiden Angel White, debates on the danger that Kunai may pose. The head noble named Donna Donna is determined to punish Kunai, while the head soldier, Martial Arts, thinks he should wait and see what kind of man Kunai is for himself. Killer Queen barges in while still being hopelessly in love with Zero, which leaves Angel a bit worried for her sister's well-being. The Noma Noma Tavern sees S-rank adventurers named Mink and Organ debate about the existence of Dragonkin and their fights for justice before they're handed a poster of the Demon Lord. Mikan and Yukikaze overhear their conversation. Kunai, Luna, and Yu hold a feast for Aku at a high-class restaurant named Artemist, as a celebration for her leg being healed. They are joined by Ebifree Butterfly, a noble who Luna explains is a powerful social figure with many connections throughout the kingdom. Kunai decides he will gain her trust. He negotiates with her and tells her about his improvements that he did and should be done for Luna's Rabbi village. But the surrounding area gets attacked by the Satanist cult. Kunai starts fighting them all himself, but sees Mikan and Yukikaze caught amidst the chaos and decides to help them. The cultists summon a mid-tier demon named Carnival, who Kunai brutally beats up as everyone cheers around him as they recognize him as the Demon Lord. Carmia, an assassin disguised as a clown, calming the nobles down, approaches the party with the intention of poisoning them. However, Yu scares him away with a magic trick that involves amputating his arms. Somewhere in the capital, Killer Queen, Mount Fuji, and Martial Arts clear out a horde of undead, as Mink defeats another group of Satanists while he heals members of the church. The surviving cultists regroup and summon the demon prince Oruit as their last resort. He lays waste to all of the combatants and destroys Angel White's holy barrier. Tron is ordered by Utopia to fly in and dump Hades onto the combatants, and she does so while Mark and Queen are trying to hold their ground against Oruit. Kunai swaps to Zerp Kirisame and defeats Oruit within a moment. However, Oruit mortally wounds Tron before dying, and drains all of her blood to transform herself into a bestial entity. Zero revives Tron from death and encourages her to smile despite forgetting how to. Zero defeats Oruit once again and strikes a victory pose. Tron is amazed, meanwhile Killer Queen is blissfully still in love with him. Kunai discusses with Angel White as to where they should obtain more information on Zeref, while Angel is still trying to deduce whether he's a danger or a friend to the kingdom and the Holy Church. The conversation ends on good terms, though Angel is still hiding her stress, worrying about his end goal and how he managed to defeat Grail so easily while also taming Luna effortlessly. Kunai finds that he's collected enough skill points for another NPC, and summons a second NPC who unlocked the ability to portal to familiar locations. Aku and Kunai visit the church library to read about the angels, and find Kunai ways to resist magical attacks. He reads Aku a story about a dog finding rare treasures in a dungeon, which gives Kunai the idea of such a possibility. On the way back, Tron finds Kunai and identifies him as Zero, then insists on traveling with him as a thank you for saving his life. They teleport back to Rabbi Village, and Kunai constructs a hospital and a hot springs resort. He summons an NPC aide named Isami Tahara, who has a fast learning capability and marksmanship skills to protect Rabbi Village from damage. Tahara is taken aback by the world around him, and he's frightened when he realizes Yu is with them as well. He is tasked with training the residents of the village with managing and upkeeping the quality of life, which is a bit too much in his opinion, but he accepts after Kunai's reassurances. The group greets Tahara while Kunai thinks on preparing for Ebifree's arrival. Kunai returns to the capital and sells a music box to Naden Manon, the antiquities dealer they visited before, in exchange for 15 gold coins. He then visits Bingo, the tailor, and requests to make 20 tuxedos and bunny suits. He establishes a food delivery route to Rabbi Village, and returns to the inn for the night. Kunai swaps to Zero Kirisame again for a while and ponders the time when he used to play as this character. Fast forward to a week later, Ebifree arrives at the renowned Rabi village. She brings Commando Sambo with her, whose blindness is cured by Yu. Sambo is overjoyed and Ebifree pays Yu with a Holy Lamba coin, which is worth 100 gold coins. A flashback from 10 years ago before the show's events occurs, which shows a 6-year-old Luna with a friend named Eagle, rushing to a mansion to buy some bread. They're shunned by the nobles and Luna retaliates by swearing she'll become a holy maiden as she grows up and get their money. 2 years later, she begins her training. But Eagle is then executed due to being a demi-human. She became a holy maiden when she was only 10 years old, and she was assigned her province. She sees a young Kyon and Momo which remind her of her bond with Eagle. She prayed to Cherub for strength, and at this point her reminiscence is interrupted by Kunai and Ebifree approaching the hot springs. Luna takes Ebifree inside, while Angel learns of Ebifree's holiday at Rabi village and thinks that Kunai has manipulated her. Though Killer Queen just tells her that she is saddened by the fact that she hasn't found love yet. Isami and Yu converse while working on a map for the development of the village. Isami notices that Yu has a more reformed personality now. Later, Kunai receives a checkup by Yu, which devolves into Yu inappropriately fondling his body, so Kunai abruptly ends the session by leaving. Everyone feasts that evening, and Tron goes to the bath and hopes to see Zero, but Kunai carries her back to the women's side. After the bath, Aku goes to sleep with Kunai. They're later joined by Luna making her own excuses to sleep with him. Kunai leaves the village to explore the capital yet again, leaving a letter behind for Luna and Aku, telling them not to look for him. He encounters Yukikaze and Mikan there. They insist he joins them to the Noma Noma Tavern, where everyone treats Kunai with food, drinks, and respects for defeating Carnival and saving them. Kunai states he's unfamiliar with the land's advisor systems and customs. They tell him about the guild and its accepting requests as well as the fees. They have monster parts sold, rankings, and other guilds competing for the attention of high-ranking adventurers and mercenary work. Kunai notes how unstable the occupation might be for adventurers. Yukikaze also mentions the state of wartime making traveling north much more treacherous. They also tell him about item classification, about the normal, solid, high-end, unique, and legendary items. Kunai decides to travel north, and Yukikaze volunteers on joining him as a guide. Meanwhile, at the church, Angel White's anxiety reaches its limit. She uses her Omega staff to teleport to Luna and rescue her. However, she becomes confused at Rabi Village's state and reformed lifestyle. Isami mistakes her for a magician hired for help, and tasks her with things to do. Angel eventually finds Luna, but she's confused by Luna's will to stay in the village. Angel is even more confused by seeing Tron here, and is forced by Luna to let Kyon and Momo escort her to the baths. Angel follows them and finds Kunai at the end of the baths, in order to rip Luna of Kunai's influence. She's genuinely embarrassed by the situation. She attempts to interrogate him on his intentions for Luna and Ebifree, but Kunai maintains composure in front of the naked holy maiden and confesses that they acted on their own accord. Kunai coerces her to bathe and drink some sake to calm her down, and the two begin talking more normally. She explains her frustrations over being called innocent, hard-headed, and admits that she's incompetent in managing a kingdom on her own. Kunai gifts her an angel halo in an effort to reassure her of her abilities before she leaves. Kunai teleports the two back to the capital's castle. Kunai then decides to confide in Angel that the reason he wants to learn about Seraph is because he believes Ophanium summoned him into this world. He thinks back to the shrine idol, and all of the Angel's misunderstandings come together to confirm Kunai's identity as Lucifer. Kunai decides to take his leave after Angel is completely smitten with him. She promises to guide him back to what he once was. Kunai leaves Isami and Yu as the village's caretakers. He departs to the northern city of Rookie with Yukikaze and Mikan. He reaches the city and is greeted by heroes led by an overweight young man in modern clothing. Kunai is repulsed by the sight. The episode ends with a to be continued. And that's the end of the video. And as a little shout out to myself, I am now streaming live on Twitch. If you guys want to stop by, I play JRPGs and record some scripts live. So, maybe stop by, drop a follow. There's a link down in the description to my stream. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you at the next one.